Hey everyone, it's LordStarscream100 here, with, as promised, a very major announcement which I decided to announce this time myself instead of putting it in text and then uploading it to YouTube. Okay, so let's begin. So about a week ago, I decided that on January 22nd I would reveal something big, something that's been in the works for a while, but has been kept a secret as well. It's been over a month since Ninjago finished airing on YouTube, and for a while I've been discreetly planning something. It was hinted at a few times, and a few people even asked about it throughout last year, but I haven't told anyone what it is. With that, I'm pleased to announce that due to the success of Ninjago, a sequel, titled Ninjago Rise of the Great Devourer, is set for release this summer. So let's jump right into this and I'll give everyone some updates. In the original film, I had the story diverge from the TV show and its major plot elements in order to create a unique and modern world altogether, while still borrowing elements from the original series. Ninjago Rise of the Great Devourer is going to be quite the opposite. The film will be centered around the episodes from the beginning of the series, all the way up to episode 26, which was the so-called final battle of the entire series. In these episodes, the stories revolved around the Serpentine Awakening, the Great Devourer, as well as the return of the Overlord and the Stone Army. To answer some possible questions, we obviously won't have a focus on all the episodes. You'll see a lot more elements that originate from the TV show than you did in the first movie, as well as some major plot points, and judging from the film's title, you could probably figure out at least one. Also, it is true that I am combining two major parts of the Ninjago storyline into one film. The plan is to combine the Serpentine and Stone Army into the same plot, which, as you may know, are two different sets of characters entirely from two different parts of the original storyline. So this may seem like a little bit too much to handle, or even to make into a sensible plot at all. And initially I thought the same thing, but I urge everyone to put any worries to rest. I've been planning out the story and, to say the least, everything is fitting together very nicely. So, ultimately I think one of the major keys to making this film great is going to be the cast. All of the characters from the end of the first film are set to return. I have not contacted any of the voice actors about officially reprising their roles, although the casting calls for the project are expected to begin within the next 2 weeks. I repeat, the casting calls for Ninjago Rise of the Great Devourer are set to begin within the next 2 weeks. This time around, we will see about twice as many new characters. The film's new villains will include Pythor, the Overlord, the Stone Army, the Constricti and Venomare tribes, and, of course, the Great Devourer. Lord Garmadon, who was briefly featured in the first film's after-credits scene, will act as the film's main antagonist next to the Great Devourer, don't worry. And that's all I have to say about the villains. There will also be several new protagonists, although in order to develop the new and old characters, there aren't as many additions on their part. But I think everyone will be pleased in the end with who we see. The new protagonists will include Dr. Julian, I'm still not sure how we're going to pronounce it actually, and Nia. Ever since the casting calls for the first film, I had tons of people asking me why Nia wasn't in the film. So it'll be nice to have a female addition to the plot since the entire cast of the first film was actually male. I'm very happy that there's actually room for her in the story now because the way it worked out with the first film, we were pretty tight with actually getting to introduce the characters that we had. There will be several other new protagonists, possibly a few other villains. Not sure about the sizes of them yet. You'll see them in the casting calls though, so stay tuned for that. And just a heads up, Lord Garmadon will be in the film with a much different role from when we last saw him. We will be seeing his Green Ninja counterpart this time around, and I think that will be a pretty good thing this time because last time we saw him, he was in no way whatsoever the Green Ninja. When it came to the cast of the first film, the absence of Nia, Pythor, and Lord Garmadon, as well as the heavily changed role of Lord Garmadon, were the primary complaints, so I think everyone has a ton of reliefs, and they've been overcome with a whole bunch of familiar concepts. First casting call for Ninjago Rise of the Great Devourer will likely be in the first week of February. There will be a change this time around. There will be auditions. I'll explain that further when the casting call itself comes around. So if you're interested in voicing a new character, whether you were part of the cast before or not, stay tuned for that. All the lines will be due by the beginning of May. I will begin sending them out in either late February or early March, which will give the cast about 2 months to get them done. Hopefully that'll be enough time, we'll see how that works out. Now, I would like to address the biggest aspect of the film, no pun intended, and that is none other than the Great Devourer. Remember back in 2012 when the Great Devourer was in a set? Remember how small this set actually was? Yeah, it was really small. But that won't be the case with what we'll see in the sequel. No, seriously, that won't be the case. At all. We're talking about something that's 10 times as big as the original set, with a much different design. The Great Devourer will be made using the Hero Factory building system, and the design of the creature is still in the works, as it's going to be the largest custom LEGO model I've ever built. Here's the thing. I'm currently guessing that it will be made up of anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 pieces. That's where I'm going to leave us off. So that's all I have to say for now on Ninjago Rise of the Great Devourer. There are many more updates that will be coming up in the near future. We have the casting calls throughout February, and I myself will spend that month writing the film script. Stay tuned for more updates on Ninjago Rise of the Great Devourer, and spread the word. This is LordStarscream100, and I'll see you guys soon.